Driven by fire, driven by fear, never get tired, no I'm still here. Felt in the cracks, now I'm shifting gears. 10 years into my moments here, waiting my turn, now I'm hot in demand. Slept on a kid but I had bigger plans. Stayed low key but I still hit drive. Give me one shot and I'm coming alive. Names on the left, second taste it. Gunning for the top, no limitations. From the basement, no hesitation.
Okay, you beautiful friends, welcome back to the Bag of the Semi Truck, and you could tell by the thumbnail, you could tell by the title, we are about to be jumping into the subject of, did Cozy Glow deserve it? And honestly, I'm on the fence. I don't know if Cozy Glow deserved the punishment that she got, or whether or not she didn't deserve the punishment that she got. Now, the video that we're going from here is a video from Starstrike, and I am presuming, based on the thumbnail that I saw for this video originally, I'm presuming he believes that she didn't deserve her punishment. So I'm going to presume, and I'm looking for the best wording here. I'm going to see if he can convince me whether or not she deserved it or not. So, on the fence still. So, just putting that out there, making a disclaimer now that I'm not sure she did deserve it or not. Secondly, the microphone that we're using. It is a cheapo mic, but my other cheapo mic went kaput, so I got this one. I'm still working with the levels and finding out where I need to put all of those and stuff like that. So right now, the little knob that's on the front here, I've got it at the midway point. I'm expecting that then whenever I get it into any type of editing, I'm then going to have to adjust the volume again because I've got the truck running, and then I have to remove all the background noise and then adjust the volumes again. So I'm still kind of working with that. So disclaimer about the volume as well. Sorry if the audio sucks, but I'm still working with it. So with that said, let's let Starstrike, what? I can't get words out of my mouth. I drove a lot today. So let's let Starstrike try to convince me that Cozy Glow didn't deserve her punishment. Or maybe he's pulling a fast one on us with the thumbnail, and maybe he thinks she did. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to take a break from talking and let Starstrike start in and tell us what he's thinking in 3, 2, 1, and play.
This is Cozy Glow, a Pegasus child who attempted to overthrow the kingdom and declare herself Empress of Friendship. Among many other crimes, including but not limited to attempted murder, grand theft magical artifact, and the destruction of all magic in Equestria. And for her actions, she was turned to stone. Although this was the punishment for 3 other villains who attempted the same things as her, the punishment is incredibly harsh, leading to a moral debate that people for some reason seem to get very heated over. And that debate is whether or not Cozy Glow should have been turned to stone. And I'll be honest, it took me quite a while to figure out where I stand on this issue because there are some really good arguments for both sides. I ran a poll recently asking people how they felt, and most people definitely think it was right for her to be turned to stone.
Balls. Okay, so I had no idea that many people actually agreed, because let's be real, his polls get far more attention than any of my polls would get. So 69% of all those who responded to his poll agree that, hey, yeah, she was putting people in danger. She needed to be, locked away. But really, though, does she need to be turned into stone? Couldn't she just kind of be locked away and have all her, magical abilities that she accumulated by, stealing the power of friendship and stealing all those artifacts and all that stuff? Can't she just have that taken away and then put into a jail? I mean, she didn't have to be turned into stone. I mean, gosh, I can't get words out of my mouth. How else are you going to actually rehabilitate her, because she is just a child? So, yeah, let's continue this though and play.
And there were a lot of comments on both sides of this debate. And as somebody who has looked at both sides pretty closely for a long time, I think I can safely say that I have a pretty good understanding of where people from both sides are coming from with this debate. And I think the conclusion might not be quite as simple as a yes or no, because different people approach this debate from different angles. And how you feel about Cozy Glow being turned to stone largely depends on which perspective you take. The three main angles people tend to look at this issue from are: 1. A moral perspective. Was it morally right for her to be turned to stone? 2. The narrative perspective, which is, would the story have been better or made more sense for her to be set free rather than turned to stone? And then the third perspective is an in-world perspective. That is, from the perspective of Twilight and her friends, would it be better to try and reform her or imprison her? And
Pause. Okay, so we got our narratives that, we've got his way of looking at it. There's three ways of looking at this in his view: is in-world, narrative, and morality. Morally, I don't know. This is just me at the beginning of this because I've never really truly thought about the question. Morally, I don't know. I don't think it was right to turn her into stone. Because if we remember, when they're turned to stone, they can still hear and, I believe, feel everything that's still happening around them. I don't know if they can see everything, but I know they can still hear and feel things. So to be turned to stone and be locked in that, especially in the position that she was locked into, because she looks petrified, for the lack of a better term. So, yeah, morally, no, I don't think it was right. Narratively, it was right. Because, you had, in the narrative sense, you had to end the story somehow. And that's kind of one of the few ways you can end the story without having to go through a whole nother season of reforming her. So, and then there's the whole aspect of inner world, in the world of Equestria. Was it the right thing to do? That's the one that we kind of got to be on the fence about. Rehabilitate her or not, because we've seen that Chrysalis never got rehabilitated, even though Starlight tried. So some people you can reach, some people you can't. So yeah, let's continue on and see where this lands us.
this is the part where I see a lot of people say that she should be imprisoned, because she is simply too dangerous to be set free. The main six have also already tried teaching her the values of friendship, and she deliberately chose evil. However, if we want to look at the other side's perspective and look more at the narrative and moral side of the argument, one of the biggest and strongest arguments for not turning Cozy Glow to stone is that it goes against the core teachings of the show. That teaching being that anyone can change for the better. No matter how far gone someone is, they always have the potential to change. Heck, Starlight was a former villain who was willing to destroy the entire world to get what she wanted, and in the next season, the main six are all kidnapped, so she is leading a group of former villains to save the day. And in the season immediately following after that, we were introduced to the Pony of Shadows. And the entire message with those episodes was that even though he was so far gone to the point where he was willingly bringing the dark magic into his life, he could still change. One of the key ways that the characters in MLP defeat the villains is by making them their friends. In fact, this is how they defeat most enemies. The only characters who were ever straight up killed were the Storm King and King Sombra, who were designed to be pure evil villains with no redeeming qualities. And
False. But there at the end, though, King Sombra still came back because he wasn't ever officially killed. So there's that aspect. Then Storm King, yeah, I guess he's dead. I don't fully know. I'd have to rewatch the movie, honestly. I've only watched the movie like 2 times, maybe 3, and I've got to rewatch that scene. That could be a lot like a Storm, a Sombra sort of situation where if we don't see the death, it didn't happen. Just like in the show Ruby, if you don't see the death, it didn't technically happen, and there could be possibilities of returning people. Granted, yes, the show is ended and all that good stuff, so Storm King, I'm going to say yes. Okay, he's dead. Okay. But there is also the aspect that Chrysalis never got reformed, and so not all villains were never reformed. Sombra, Tirek, Cozy Glow. So there are some villains that haven't been redeemed. Um, I think it would have been a good idea, actually, to have a villain who was redeemed but never became one of their actual friends. That would have made a pretty cool aspect to the show, I think, because it would have showed people, you know what? You can't be everyone's friend. I don't know. Either way, though, let's continue and
Yet, Cozy Glow, Tirek, and Queen Chrysalis were all turned to stone. And a lot of people point out that these three characters, especially Cozy Glow, should have been given another chance. I mean, she is just a child after all, and is very impressionable and the most likely to change out of all of them. But then, this is where the other side comes in again, claiming that this argument removes Cozy Glow of her agency, and of course, children can commit evil acts, just like adults can, and should be held accountable. And
balls. Just putting it out there, there are some evil children. Trust me, there is countless stories upon stories upon stories of children who are just blatantly evil. I mean, my goodness, there's been stories. I'll go to YouTube sometimes. It's a guilty pleasure. I'll listen to stuff going down the road of parents telling horrid stories about how they've had to institutionalize their child because he would wake up in the middle of the night and literally try to hurt their other children and literally kill them. Yeah, so yeah, they have to institutionalize them. They can't take care of them. They can't, there's nothing they could do about it. So some children are legitimately just evil. I know it's harsh to say that, but it is what it is. I mean, yes, Cozy Glow's a child, but is she one of those kind that you just can't reason with and she's just evil? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
And yeah, I can see this point as well. Cozy Glow is not in a situation where she was simply led astray. She knows full well what she is doing is wrong. She openly admits it, brags about it, and even sings a song about her villainy. She gets a thrill from harming others, and not only was she given another chance, but she enrolled in the School of Friendship where they literally teach good morals every day. They have trust-building exercises, teamwork, and many other things that give her the best opportunity imaginable, and yet she still chose evil. And at that point, it seems pretty clear. From an in-world perspective, she is not willing to change and is too dangerous to be left free. And from a moral standpoint, people who commit evil acts should be punished. You can argue that maybe the punishment was too harsh, but it's clear that she should still at least be punished. And from a narrative perspective, it seems to make more sense story-wise that she's just a pure evil villain, and therefore, we should not expect to see her reformed. From every perspective, it only makes sense that she should be turned to stone. But I have a question about this stance. Was she really given the best opportunity? See, I have a slightly different view on this topic than most people. I do not believe that Cozy Glow was set up for success quite like people think. Yeah, it's true that Cozy Glow wants to be evil. But why does she want to be evil? A lot of people bring up that we never get a look at her home life, thinking that must have had something to do with her being evil. But honestly, I don't think it has anything to do with it, because she straight up tells us and makes it very clear why she has chosen villainy. She simply wants power.
Pause. Okay. I'm trying to formulate this thought in my head because obviously I say this sometimes quite often. I can't just let the video play out without adding something to it. Plus, I wouldn't do that anyway because if I sit here and watch a video and I realize, hey, I ain't got nothing to add, I honestly, there's been a couple videos if I'm being transparent with all of you, there's been a couple videos where I had to just hit stop and be like, all right, never mind, because I couldn't figure out what to add to it. But y'all never will see those, so nonetheless, though, yes, with this, she chooses evil because she admits that she just wants power. So the most powerful thing that she sees out there is friendship. So she's choosing to go the route of friendship in order to gain ultimate power. But ultimate power, or absolute power, I should say, haha, I remember that phrase now. Absolute power absolutely corrupts. So through her search for this power, she gets more and more corrupted, I notice. So I guess that adds to the phrasing of absolute power absolutely corrupts. So she's definitely, yeah, she's choosing corruption of power over being good, which still, she's a child. Can't you just kind of put her in some sort of prison? I mean, morally, that's what I think. Narratively, he's already touched on it. Same thing I'm thinking. You kind of got to do something to end the story, and then in world, I don't know. I'm conflicted with this myself now that I'm starting to think about it. Let's continue and listen to some more here. Play.
Cozy Glow loves having power and control over others, hence why her cutie mark is a chess piece, a literal symbol of manipulation. She even states this in her monologue to Starlight that friendship isn't magic. Friendship is power. And the more friends she has, the more power she wields. This right here is where the problem lies. While Cozy Glow may have a fundamental misunderstanding of why ponies make friends, during her monologue, she's not wrong. Friendship in this universe is literally power. It is a power strong enough to destroy King Sombra, the unicorn who in a matter of minutes was able to take over the entire Crystal Empire without breaking a sweat. Friendship is quite literally a weapon, and it's a powerful one. We are told repeatedly throughout the show that the most powerful magic of all is the magic of friendship, and Cozy Glow sees that. When Cozy Glow is first introduced to the CMC, they are tutoring her with her friendship homework, but when she's given flashcards to represent the different elements of harmony, look at how she responds.
Intelligence? Is it control?
They show her generosity, she sees intelligence. They show magic, she sees control. And this only makes sense for a pony whose special talent is, again, manipulation.
Balls. Okay, so that sounds like I really need to go back and watch that episode because, my goodness, that seems like a really good aspect. I wonder if they showed every cutie mark of the main six, and because I can't remember, that's a lot of episodes to keep in your head. I can't remember if she actually looked at Rainbow Dash and then saw, I don't know, maybe she saw Rainbow Dash's cutie mark and thought pride, or Fluttershy's. I don't know what she would have thought for Fluttershy, but maybe the opposite of kindness, and would have just been like possibly manipulation, because sometimes there's a point where you're being so kind you're being a little manipulative. Rarities was, of course, we just saw it, generosity, intelligence, because I don't know how she would have thought that, but nonetheless, I wonder, did she actually say something for each of them? That would be something interesting to look back at. So maybe I got some homework. Let's continue. Bless
She may have been given lessons on friendship, but she immediately came at them with the manipulation of others as a key part of who she is and how she operates her day-to-day life. And anytime she supposedly does something nice for some pony else, it's always to serve herself in some way. So when you take some pony like that and throw her into the school of friendship, where she learns very clearly the more friends you have, the more power you wield, she is going to see an opportunity to gain control over others by weaponizing friendship. And from there, every lesson she learns about friendship will be twisted in her mind to serve herself somehow. The first time they caught Cozy Glow, Twilight asked her why she attempted to take over the School of Friendship, and Cozy Glow responded, "Why? Because friendship is power. You might be the princess of friendship, but as head mayor of this school, I can collect even more friends than you." And Twilight said, "You're the one who doesn't get it, Cozy. Friendship is powerful, but power isn't why you make friends. I'm sorry I couldn't teach you that." But the thing is, in a way, it was due to Twilight's teachings that Cozy Glow tried to stage a coup in the first place. At this point, it is made very clear to Twilight and the others that Cozy Glow has a fundamental misunderstanding of what friendship even is. Now it is Twilight's responsibility to correct her. But she doesn't. She does not even try to reform her. Cozy Glow was never given a second chance. Not even once.
Pause. Good point right there. She wasn't given a second chance to actually be like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be looking at friendship as a powerful tool. Maybe I should be looking at friendship as a way of just having friends. And the power that comes from that is going to be more of a guiding light to my life, as opposed to something I could wield and use for control. So that is a really good and valid point. If she was never given a proper second chance and was just like, nope, no, you don't get no second chance. You tried to take over the School of Friendship and gain power through that. We're just going to completely just not even try with you anymore. So when you disregard somebody like that, that makes them even more not want to actually be around you, and makes them more want to get revenge, and makes them, yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it. It makes them vindictive. So she went from wanting to take power through friendship to then wanting to be vindictive through friendship. So hopefully that made sense on what I said, but yeah, that is one heck of a point. Never given a second chance. Play.
No pony ever explained to her why her view of friendship was wrong. All they said was, "You don't make friends for power, you silly filly." Then threw her into Tartarus without ever explaining the actual reason why you make friends. The reason Cozy Glow makes friends for power is because Twilight indirectly taught her to do that. And this is where the argument about her being a child comes in. She is still impressionable. Not only can she be corrected, but she can be corrected much more easily than all the other villains. This is not a matter of Cozy Glow seeing two options and choosing evil. This is a matter of she saw two options, and from her perspective, based on what she was taught, the evil route seemed to offer everything the good route did and far more. Because all Cozy Glow learned was that making friends gives you power. And if you go the evil route, you can make even more friends and not have to give nearly as much. And Twilight didn't even make the teeniest effort to correct her. All she said was, "You're wrong, Cozy, and now I'm giving up on you." And all of this is made even worse when you consider that just one season ago, with the Pony of Shadows, Twilight learned the lesson that a simple conversation can change hearts and minds, and she applies none of that here. And from this point, things only look worse for Twilight, because in Season 9, she once again never gives Cozy Glow the opportunity to change. And some people argue that she had made up her mind and that there's not a good bone in her body. Sometimes a bad apple's just a bad apple and can't be redeemed. She doesn't even want to change. And I find that people who claim this usually cite this scene where Cozy Glow, Tirek, and Chrysalis all work together to get Grogar's spell. Afterwards, they feel a slight happiness within themselves after having worked together and even performing some selfless acts.
Balls. Okay, so I'm on agreement with him right now. I mean, you can't really disagree if they see. You can't disagree with him when he tells us, hey, they never gave her a second chance. So there's no reason that she didn't deserve to be put in stone. She literally is a kid who literally was like, you know what? It's just, I don't even have the words for it. Twilight and the rest of the main six literally looked at her and said, you're wrong. Off to Tartarus with you, or however you pronounce that word, because I've got a heavy southern accent and have to actually think about what I say sometimes when I'm pronunciating words. But nonetheless, they just sit there and cast her to the side like she didn't mean anything. And just no second chance, no nothing. So what did they think there was going to happen with her? You know, that if you sit there and then on top of that, she was with two other villains? No, I don't know. Was Tirek and yeah, well, I don't. How did Chrysalis even see? This is how long it's been since I've watched all these later seasons. I don't even remember how Chrysalis even ended up, you know, with them. I think Tirek was down there. So yeah, I mean, so you put her with the other villains to encourage her more to actually go down that path. Yeah, my thoughts are so jumbled with this because now that I'm slowing down to actually think about this whole prospect of did Cozy Glow deserve to be turned into stone, it actually brings into question more of Twilight and the rest of the main six. Like, hey, why didn't y'all actually slow down long enough to be like, hey, this isn't how you make friends. This is what friendship is for. And then went on a monologue about that. Obviously, I don't have a monologue ready about what friendship is for. It's not for power. It's for such and such and this and that. It's for joy. It's for happiness. It's for this and it's for that. But no, she sends her into the hands of other villains, it sounds like. So maybe she was trying to get Cozy Glow to become friends with them and maybe everyone else would have changed. That doesn't make a bit of sense. Let's continue and play.
Immediately, however, Chrysalis identifies this feeling as friendship and quashes the idea from both Tirek and Cozy Glow's minds, calling it a disease that infected her people. And I see so many people claim that this moment is the moment that solidifies them as irredeemable villains, just like King Sombra and the Storm King, which justifies them being turned to stone, because this is the moment when they all choose to be evil. Oh well, this scene and the entire episode actually suggests the exact opposite. This clip is from the episode Frenemies. In this episode, these characters start off hating each other, but are forced to work together. And over the course of the episode, we see them engage in laughter, loyalty, honesty, kindness, selflessness, and teamwork. And that moment after they get Grogar's bell proves that there is in fact a part of them that wants to change and embrace friendship. I can't play you guys the whole clip because Hasbro will try and copyright claim this video, but I will read to you what they said, and I want you to listen to their words and then tell me that there's no good in them. This is immediately after Tirek returns Chrysalis's magic to her.
Balls. Before he gets into that episode he's referring to, I actually was one of the few people who thoroughly enjoyed the episode because I thought they had some good chemistry. So yeah, I loved the episode. Because they were working well off of each other. They were cracking jokes. They were becoming friends. I mean, you can be friend, you know, that's why the episode is called Frenemies. they're friendly enemies, but he's about to talk about their conversation, and let's go ahead and listen to it instead of me sitting here looking at the words on the screen and reading them off for myself, because I've got issues with seeing words on screen and then reading them out loud. So I will try not to do that, y'all. Let's continue and play. And I messed that up, but guess what? Cartoons teach us that there are, I can't get words out of my mouth. My God, I hate today. Either way, let me rephrase myself and, get myself back on going good. Let's do this. Cartoons teach us that second chances are always out there, with the exception of Cozy Glow, of course. So let's hit that play button a second time and properly and play.
I wasn't sure if you were going to give it back. Neither was I. But working together seemed smarter than to continue fighting. When we helped each other, it felt better somehow. I haven't felt this since before I lost my hive. Having others who will be there for you is pleasing. All these years, taking power from ponies. When you use your power to help others, yes, it feels... No! This episode makes it very clear that all three of these characters have potential for change. And honestly, I and many other people were shocked by the end of the series they didn't. This is one of the main reasons I did not like how Season 9 ended. And I am specifically talking about the ending of the end, not the last problem. Because it seemed like they were setting up this great story of redemption for these characters that never came to pass. And while Tirek and Chrysalis were given opportunities to change, albeit pretty weak opportunities, Cozy Glow was not. Her being put into Twilight School did not set her up for success, but it set her up for failure. And all that needed to change was how she viewed friendship. And Twilight knew this, and she did absolutely nothing. At this point, the only other argument I hear in favor of turning Cozy Glow to stone is that she is simply too dangerous to be set free, and therefore it's completely justified. I mean, you have to think about the greater good. You have to protect Equestria after all. And to that I say, really? Because that did not stop them from setting free the Lord of Chaos, the villain who can do literally anything. If there is anyone who is quote-unquote too dangerous to be set free, it's him. And yeah, you could argue that they had the elements of harmony, and if Discord got out of line, they could just zap him back to stone. But that still doesn't remove the danger. All he has to do is get one element away from one character, and suddenly the rest are rendered useless. Which, if you recall, is exactly what he did. And similar to Cozy Glow, he did it through abusing friendship. Fluttershy was trying to befriend him, Discord pretended to be friends with her in order to get what he wanted, but then the moment Fluttershy told him that she's not his friend, he realized that friendship was something that, once he had it, he didn't want to lose it. He now understood friendship, and the same thing could have been done with Cozy Glow. This guy was allowed to be set free, but Cozy Glow is deemed too dangerous. I don't buy it for a second. Yes, we all make our own decisions.
Pause. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement here. Cozy, just because I never really truly thought about it doesn't mean that, I can't have my mind made up within just one video, because with only the simple fact that she'd never got a second chance, that right there alone is justification to not put her in stone. She's just a child, so saying that she's too dangerous to just let be roaming free, then fine, she's a child. If you can't figure out a way to keep a child in check, then maybe you don't need to be like, a princess of friendship, because yeah, if you can't just keep a child in check, my goodness, I don't understand. How in the world is she too dangerous to leave out and about? You can keep a child in check. There's no other way to put it. She's a child. Simply put your foot down, put her in jail, and then come make some visitations and explain, hey, I hope you're doing good today. I brought you this. And hey, I've been thinking about you today, how's things going? Twilight did nothing to help this girl. Let's continue.
visions. Yes, children can do evil things and should be held accountable. Yes, Cozy was given a choice and chose evil, and yes, Cozy is a danger to all the ponies in Equestria. But once you look at the full picture, it no longer matters. Let's take a look at the 3 perspectives I brought up earlier. From an in-world perspective, she should not have been turned to stone because Twilight found the root of the problem and never bothered to help her. From a narrative perspective, they set up Cozy Glow and the other villains as characters to be redeemed, but didn't go through with it. And from a moral perspective, there is no reason why Twilight shouldn't help Cozy Glow. They need to give her a real chance to change. To do anything else goes against the core messaging of this show. And after that, there is only one other point that I know people will bring up, and it is not a good one. That point is that Cozy Glow's actions were simply unforgivable. Forgiveness is not an option that should even be considered for someone who did everything she did out of a misunderstanding. And if this is the position you hold, if this is the hill you are going to die on, then I ask you, has this show taught you nothing? Trixie enslaves an entire town. Nightmare Moon tries to murder her sister and bring eternal night. Discord takes over Equestria and morphs it into his Chaos Empire. Chrysalis captures tons of ponies, including a baby, poses as Shining Armor's fiance, lays siege to Canterlot, and still is offered a second chance. Starlight brainwashed an entire town, then later on kills everyone. But Cozy Glow tries much of the same stuff.
Balls, hold on. Let's go back to that and kills everyone. I see the scene that he, if I get the words properly out of my mouth here, I seen the scene that he was playing at that moment, and yes, essentially, she did kill everyone because she took Twilight to a future where it was a barren wasteland with no pony around whatsoever. So, going back to one of my other commentary videos on, somebody who was trying to claim that Starlight was never a villain and stuff like that, his biggest argument for saying that Starlight wasn't a villain was the fact that, look at all these other villains, they killed people. Well, look at what, she did. She changed the future so much that it literally was made where there was nobody alive. And, Twilight had to finally convince her, like, look, you're ruining everything. Look around you. So, essentially, she did kill a lot of people. So, just saying, that commentator, dead wrong. Starlight was a villain. But, Cozy Glow? Holy crap. She did not deserve what she got. Let's continue this.
And has somehow gone too far? I guess the only thing that everyone else that I mentioned never tried was draining magic. I guess that's where we draw the line because the main 6 didn't offer Tirek a second chance either. And let's say for a moment Cozy Glow was given a second chance, and she did decide to turn good. Then why should she be deemed unforgivable? If someone has done horrible actions against you or anyone else, tries their best to change, puts in all the effort, and even becomes a stand-up individual helping others and being a positive influence on the world, then why continue to hold anything against that person? Because that person who you continue to hold anger against, that person who you choose to continue persecuting, is no longer the same person they once were. The person who you continue to hold your anger against no longer lives. As a matter of fact, they shouldn't even need to do anything to earn forgiveness. If someone is truly sorry, then you give forgiveness regardless. Trust, sure, that needs to be earned. But forgiveness? If someone is truly sorry, then yeah, forgive that person. And while this changed individual is leaving a positive impact on the world, your refusal to forgive this person is accomplishing nothing good. All it does is hurt people, and the person that it hurts the most is not the person that you refuse to forgive, it's yourself. Holding on to anger and refusing to let go, no matter what, is unhealthy. It becomes something that consumes you, adding immense stress to your life that grows constantly. And every time you think back to that person you refuse to forgive, you will only be filled with anger. To make matters worse, the amount of people throughout your life who you choose to not forgive never goes down. It only grows. And your life will be just filled with nothing but anger to the day you die. And I don't know about you, but that isn't something that I want to fill my life with. Not when forgiveness is an option. To choose to remain angry and hateful is to choose a path that invites evil into
balls. Okay, so I know Starstrike actually pays attention to these little commentaries. Believe it or not, every commentary I've done on a Star Strike video, Star Strike's down in the comments and he comments. So be on the lookout for that. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I don't know. But I'm just going to throw this out there to you, dude. That little monologue you just did about forgiveness, I hope that you turned that into a short, because that is definitely a very, holy crap, that was very, very good. I don't know how to describe it other than it is very impactful, and I think it would help a lot of people. I just, and with it also having these cutscenes and pictures and stuff like that from MLP, it'll definitely hit their target audience with just simply taking that snippet of a video, turning it into a short format, and it'll definitely work for the MLP crowd. So I think it should be turned into a short. I mean, it's probably about a minute and a half long monologue, and with YouTube, you can now do up to 3-minute shorts. So I say cut it up and turn it into a short. But by the time I'm recording this video, I think this video specifically is probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks old, if not 2.5 weeks old by now. I don't like to do commentary on videos that literally just come out, because I like to let the video get all the views it's going to get, and I don't want to take those views from the original video itself. So also, with that said, since I said I don't like to take the views away from the original video, jump down to the description. Hopefully I remember to put that down there. Jump down there, go over to Star Strike's channel, make sure to subscribe to him, check out his videos, all that good stuff, because as y'all can tell by now, I've been talking for 40 plus minutes. I can add a lot to, commentary on these videos, because his video was only 18 minutes, give or take. And here we are still sitting here 40 plus minutes later. So what I'm going to do here is primarily, unless he says something that's going to make me just have to stop, I'm primarily going to let this video play out the rest of the way, because I also know that there is credits and possibly Patreon stuff that he wants to get out there and all that good stuff. So I'm going to let this video play the rest of the way, and then just do what I always do. Give some afterthoughts and pass it off to y'all. So let's do this and play.
To my life. A very similar evil that we condemn Cozy Glow for having. Whew! That was a heavy topic. I do not want to make these kinds of videos on the regular. That's exhausting. I don't think I cracked a joke the entire video. No, wait! I just thought of something!
Ow.
Oh, darn. Okay, we'll do it lightly this time. Oh, I probably should have removed the shell. Oh. Tastes good. And a bit pepper. Salt! Got to pepper the other side as well. Bon appetit.
This joke is terrible. I have heard a lot of arguments as to why Cozy Glow should be turned to stone, and I hope that I've managed to cover them all. If you have some other argument that I've maybe not considered, feel free to leave it down in the comments. I am curious. Is there something I missed? Please let me know, and a huge thank you to my patrons on Patreon. Guys, guess what? For $1 a month, I do extra videos. One of those videos is an egg review. No, not that egg. And yes, it's a joke too.
Huh. Well, okay. Now that has me interested in his Patreon, honestly, because I'm kind of wondering what that egg video is about, because if it's an egg review, I'm just kind of curious now. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. That was a lot of salt in that egg. He was, wow. Holy crap. All that just to say he cracked a joke. Either way, though, yes, I am thoroughly convinced that Cozy Glow did not deserve to be turned to stone in the slightest. Cozy Glow should have been given her second chance in whatever way possible to give her. Granted, he did also point out that Tirek never got a second chance either, but Tirek was an adult. Adult decisions come with adult consequences, but child decisions should not come with adult consequences. Yes, I get it. In certain very, 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 very certain situations, do child decisions require adult consequences? Yes, I do agree that if you got somebody who's 12, 13, 14, making the decision to commit murder, yes, a decision like that, I'm going to sound like a horrible person, but that requires an adult consequence. When you are that age, you already know right from wrong. But this isn't about murder. This is Cozy Glow seeing that friendship is power and saying, you know what? I want that power. I like the idea of me having control and having that power. And Cozy Glow's very impressionable. She could have then got caught, all that good stuff, and then had that power taken away from her, and then became, hopefully, the CMC's version of Starlight. Granted, granted, the CMC already had their version of Starlight before Starlight even came around, which would have been Diamond Tiara, which, holy crap, that was a good episode as well. I've got so many episodes to go back and watch that it's ridiculous. But Cozy Glow did not deserve this. She was just a young child, roughly the same age as the CMC, and even at that age, they're all impressionable. And she's not going out there committing, heinous acts that should be condemnable, like, okay, you're going to be cast into stone and there is no redemption for you. Sorry, she was redeemable. She was a child who did not deserve what she got. So, with that said, I'm going to shut up because, yeah, I don't know what else to say. So, with that said, I'm hoping y'all know what to say, and just leave those comments down below. Y'all know the drill by now. If you've ever made it to the end of one of these videos, y'all know what to do. Hit that like, tickle to subscribe if you're new. Don't be texting and driving. Watch what you love and love what you watch, and take it away, Mr. Rogers.
I like you just the way you are.